Most D&D and RPG campaigns don't end, they just stop. People get busy, miss a few weeks, and suddenly it's been months since anyone even mentions that game you all loved. If you've ever had a campaign just fizzle out, this video's for you. I'm Simon. My current campaign has been running for a few years now, with a core group of players. Life has absolutely got in the way at times, but instead of letting the game die, we've found ways to keep it going. I'm going to give you 5 practical tips that have helped us keep this campaign alive, even with health issues, schedule changes, and the occasional long break. Tip 1 is to replace people when life takes them out of the game, so you always have enough players to actually play. I run with a core group, but life gets in the way. People's health changes, jobs change, family stuff happens. If someone can no longer make it regularly and there's no realistic way to work around that, I don't just shrug and hope it will all be fine with one less player forever. I start looking for someone new. That usually means asking another friend who might be up for playing. I invite them to sit in on a session and watch, or watch and roll a few dice, so that they can see how the group works. If they like it, then we talk about making a character and having them join properly. What makes this easier is having a clear, simple way to explain what the campaign is about. In my current game, I can say, the party is trying to gain the favour of a god to stop the contents of hell spilling into the world. Right now you're here, dealing with this part of that mess. That's usually enough context for someone new to decide if it sounds fun. The goal isn't to run in a drop-in game where people drift in and out every week. The goal is to keep a solid group size over time. When someone has to step back for good reasons, you slowly bring in someone new so that the campaign doesn't die quietly just because you dropped below a playable number of players. Tip 2 is to assume from the start that real life is going to hit your table and build around that instead of pretending that it won't. Most of my players have health issues, and that can affect attendance. That's just reality. I try to compensate for that by having a couple more players than the absolute minimum needed to run the game. If 1 or 2 can't make it because they're not well, we just play with the rest. Sometimes, though, too many people are out and the game just can't happen, and that's fine. We don't force it, we just skip that week and pick up when we have enough people. The key thing is that it's expected, not treated as a disaster. When you accept that there will be missed sessions, you stop panicking that the campaign is doomed every time real life gets in the way. You're building a game that can survive gaps, not a fragile story that shatters if you miss one night. Tip 3 is to talk to your players when attendance changes and be willing to adjust things for them. When someone who is usually regular starts missing games, I check in. Not to guilt them, to ask what's going on. Are they still enjoying it? Has something changed with their health or their schedule? Is there anything we can tweak to make it easier? Sometimes the answer is as simple as changing the time or the day, either temporarily or permanently. Sometimes a player needs more spotlight to feel invested again. Sometimes they actually need less because social anxiety or health stuff is making it hard to be in the centre of things. I try to give each character something they personally have to deal with. A curse, their hometown has been taken over by an evil empire, an enemy from their past. That gives me different threads that I can lean on. If someone needs more focus, I can bring their problem to the front for a while, and if somebody's struggling with too much attention, I can ease it off. The main point is that you don't guess, you ask. A quick conversation can stop a player drifting away quietly because their needs changed and nobody noticed. Tip 4 is to accept that sometimes you have to pause the campaign and do it in a way that keeps the group alive. One of my most engaged players has an ongoing health issue at the moment. They're not likely to be able to play much for a few months while they're getting treatment. Rather than trying to run the main campaign without them, we've decided we're just going to take a short break from it. In the meantime, one of my other players is going to run a different game and I get to be a player for a change. We're keeping the same time slot so that the habit of we meet on this day does not vanish. To make it easy to return to the main story, I've written a clear note of where we stopped and what the party was in the middle of doing. When we pick it back up, I will run through that with everyone, and we will slide back into the story from there. Sometimes you just have to pause. That's life. If your game is good, people will wait for it. Your job during a pause is just to keep the group connected. Play a different game, play video games, play board games, whatever fits. The important bit is that the night still belongs to the group. So when you say, shall we go back to saving the world, there's still a group to go back with. Tip 5 is that you're allowed to skip parts of the campaign that aren't working, instead of forcing everyone to slog through them. Sometimes you set up a dungeon or a plot arc or a big challenge and it just doesn't land. Maybe the tone is wrong, maybe the mechanics are a drag, maybe everyone, including you, is just not feeling it. If most of the table is not enjoying a thing, you don't have to see it through step by step. Talk to your players, be honest. Say something like, this arc doesn't seem to be hitting the way I hoped. Do you want to push through it in detail, or would you rather just skip to how you would have dealt with it and move on? If they want to skip, ask them what they would have tried to resolve it. Let them describe the plan they would have come up with. Then you either make a judgment call on how that goes, or you can have them make a couple of rolls just to see how well it worked out overall. You can then narrate the outcome as a short montage. Over the next few days you do this, and here is where you end up. Then you jump to the next interesting situation. Doing this doesn't cheapen the campaign, it saves you from burning everyone out on a part of the game that just isn't fun. And it keeps the long-running story moving. The players still have agency because they tell you what they would have done, but you're not chained to playing out every room of a dungeon that nobody's enjoying. So those are my 5 tips for keeping a campaign alive over the long term. Keep the table full by slowly bringing in new people when life takes someone out. Plan for real life to hit your schedule. Talk to players and adjust things instead of just guessing. And be willing to pause the main game while you keep the group going. And don't be afraid to skip past arcs that aren't really working so that you can move on to the good stuff. If you've had campaigns fizzle out in the past, let me know in the comments what usually kills them for you, and whether any of this might help. And if you want more GM and tabletop videos like this, hit subscribe so that you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I hope your campaign lasts as long as you want it to.